hello out there. It is 3 minutes past 6, and we're going to start the Just City Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee meeting. And we're going to start off by having one of our members read the vision statement. Karen, would you like to? Or would you?
We dedicate ourselves to uplifting the voices of those most impacted by inequities, seeking justice for those adversely affected by systemic racism, bias, and oppression, and constructing intentional policy towards social equity in town government and its institutions. We strive to foster a welcoming, diverse community where all people can thrive.
And then we usually go around the room and introduce ourselves and move on from there. So I'll start with Karen.
So I'm Karen Lipinczyk. I'm the co-chair of JEDI.
Your pronouns are?
Oh yeah, my pronouns are she and her.
And I'm Mary McNaughton. I'm chair of the committee and my pronouns are she and her.
And I'm Britt Mativier, secretary, and she and her.
We have just a small little thing for ground rules, even though there's nobody here in the room with us or online, but I'll read it anyway, so everyone knows we're sticking to the program. Beginning and end of each meeting, there are times for individuals to speak on terms not on the agenda. As we work our way through the agenda, there will be further opportunities for the public to weigh in on each topic after the committee has had a chance to discuss among themselves. To participate during public comments virtually, please use the raise your hand option and wait to be called on. If you're here in the room, please raise your hand and then come up and introduce yourself so we have it on the recording and state your name. We respectfully ask the public comments be brief if possible in order to move the meeting along in a timely manner. Moving on, is there anything to amend the agenda with?
Nope.
I'm just thinking of Mara's statement for MLK Day, but we could do that with the look ahead
Okay.
calendar.
There are no amendments to the agenda. So I'd like to approve the minutes of the November 17th, 2023 meeting. Do I have a
Are we
motion?
with just three of us? Are we a quorum?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to double
Yes.
check that.
My brain's a
I
little
move that-
behind, sorry about that.
That's okay. I move that we approve the November 17th minutes.
I second.
Okay, any discussion between you or us? Okay, no discussion, so how do you vote?
Aye.
I vote aye.
Aye.
So the minutes are approved. Our public announcements that we have is the next community dinner will be January 18th from 5:30 to 6:30, and it will be hosted by Old South Church down at the food shelf at Trinity Church on 44 Main Street. And the Windsor Overdose Awareness and Grief Support Group, their next meeting will be January 4th, 2024, from 6 to 8 at the Windsor Welcome Center. Seems to be no public here, so I think we can probably move on for those comments. Taking up old business, originally we had a discussion of resource cards. I can put that on the next agenda if we need to, but we had talked about that, so we were trying to keep that more
In front of us.
in front of us. And I maybe Maura had a little bit more to say at that point if she was here at the moment, but she is not unable to be here. She has some travel plans with the holidays. So we will move on. I can't recall, Brett, if you were going to find out more about student rep.
Mara
Update.
did.
Was it Maura? Okay.
Yeah, and I think I talked to Julia too. And she was just gonna update the student on what we had said, and then I think Mara was gonna have Julia ask her to send us an email,
Okay.
like of interest.
Kind of go from there.
It's moving along, but slowly.
that's
Things
all
are
right.
busy before holidays.
And I don't know if you all had heard that Hudson has been accepted to work.
Paid
The PAGE
program.
program, yeah.
So that's very
in
exciting.
Washington.
Yeah, so he'll be busy.
Yeah, that's great news. The other biggest thing we had on the agenda was speaking about, I'm going to leave it up to Karen, but an event that wanted to put on a speaker or have a speaker come in sometime in February. So I'm going to just turn it over to you, Karen.
So I had a really wonderful conversation with Rebecca, who often comes to our meetings, who gave me some connections to reach out to around a speaker. And I did sit down with the person who is the chair of the Social Equity Caucus for the state of Vermont. His name is Pat. And he had a couple ideas and said he would do a first reach out and see what their response was. And so Joe Major, who is, and I don't know, I was gonna look this up,
That's
if
okay.
he is a select board
In Hartford.
currently or past, and is the director at the Aquatic Center and is African-American and has lived in the Upper Valley for a significant length of time, reached back to me. Pat reached out to Joe. Joe said, yes, go ahead, have Karen. So we're gonna meet tomorrow afternoon in a phone call at 2. And I very briefly said, you know, JEDI wanted to sponsor a public talk and discussion, maybe, however, question, answer, whatever format you would be comfortable with, during Black History Month in February. And so when we confirmed the time, I said, I need to ask you about dates and honoraria and then topic. And so we can't do anything about dates. We'll talk about the honoraria and I'll send you all an email after we chat tomorrow. But I did think tonight we could chat briefly about where to kind of cut into this conversation about, really, it's kind of about the racism in America, and I think racism in Vermont in particular. But that's pretty broad, and so I thought we could chat. Because the other piece that's on the agenda around BIPOC population is having a Juneteenth celebration down at the Farmers Exchange near Juneteenth.
Right.
Nice.
For us, Farmers Exchange, I'm a little, did you mean the fairgrounds or something? I thought we wanted to put on the town of.
Yeah, but have it down there, right?
I thought you guys were thinking more of the fairgrounds. I don't know.
I don't think
Where
there's-
is the farmer's market in town?
The exchange, what do they call it? The Windsor
Oh, the
Exchange.
exchange.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, I called it Farmers Exchange because what do I know?
Well, you know, everybody seems to call it something a little different. The rail yards.
You know, the one
So I
behind the
was thinking
Windsor
that.
Station,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
place.
The brownfield.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I just was like, farmer's.
Oh, and the
market.
other, but that does lead us to say, and location for
Right.
this. So if we want to chat just briefly about these possibilities, that'd be great. Yeah, we're still here.
I think that, it's hard to know as far as the topic. I think part of that might come naturally through your conversation with his thoughts. Like, I can't think of anything like to
think
specifically
just-
ask, kind of, you know,
Yeah.
or without talking or knowing about this other person.
Yeah. I mean, just in general, like, how do you talk about race and racism in like the whitest state
Right?
in Vermont? I do feel like I don't know if it's just like a feeling I get that it's a little more diverse than some towns in Vermont.
The Windsor?
Yeah.
I think that might be,
I don't
we
know if
may
that's
not be
backed
at like
up.
0.2%, we
Right.
might be at 1,
Right, it's still pretty white.
which would be an important fact for me to look up.
Yeah. But yeah, I think,
When Moira and I first talked about this, and oh my goodness, that was months ago. We were looking at kind of the national political conversation and wondered if whoever we asked could kind of hold that on one side and kind of talk about the impact of that. I mean,
yeah,
now we've got this whole other kind of race thing happening in the Middle East, which is complicated with religion and race and ethnicity and geography and like every one of them,
prejudice you could think of.
every one of them.
Almost.
Um,
So yeah, I'm hoping if you start off with that question because of his experience.
Sure.
And we think he may have been on the select board or is on the select board in Hartford, so
Mhm.
he may have had something to do with their DEI organization in Hartford too. He might be able to just like give us some leads there, like
Exactly.
in what
Perfect.
direction to go.
Perfect.
And share his experience too, and how that might help
I
us.
just, right, I
Jedi.
think the personal story
Yeah,
is often the most moving for
It
the
is.
rest of us to, and anti-racism work is really hard because it's that having to acknowledge privilege in like so many arenas that people get afraid to do it, I think.
And I wish I could remember, there was some meeting, I don't know if I was like rewatching it or watching remotely, or if it was one of our meetings where somebody said like, racism isn't an issue here in Windsor. And I was like, well, I don't think that's true. So maybe discuss like bringing that up to him too, like people say stuff like this and,
Right.
yeah.
I think when someone says something like that in Windsor, when I've heard that too, out and about, I think it's because they haven't, those people,
Our privilege.
and I'm one of them to a degree.
Sure.
I haven't been around anybody who's been directly impacted or they've shared that with me.
Right.
So if I've never felt it or heard about it in somebody I knew or whatever, then it's kind, you just kind of think everybody thinks like me, so I just
So
haven't come
these
across
days-
it kind of
yeah.
thing. So maybe it doesn't exist.
Which I
Right.
think is why it's so important for JEDI to sponsor
Mhm.
a lecture like this,
Mhm.
just to kind of lift the
Awareness.
mindfulness, yeah, just.
And I think
to-
personal
for-
experience is very impactful. And I think you were at the National Overdose Awareness Day, and there were a lot of personal narratives. And it seems
Oh.
like, and my experience has been too, when you hear a personal story, doesn't matter what the story is,
Right.
you become empathetic because they become a real person to you, and they're no longer that other person or somebody I don't know, and they're not just somebody. Oh, that's that person right in front of me that went through that. So it is, I think, the most impactful way to raise awareness. And then that builds a relationship, even if they don't know each other. It does build something there. So
I think of Sandy Soho, who has talked about her own son and his experience living here. And I don't know enough other people to know if we have mixed race families or, yeah, so. All right, so
Same
let
thing.
me talk with Joe
see
tomorrow
what you,
and see, you
how
know.
far
kind of-
that goes,
Mhm.
kind of.
I'll explain kind of, obviously he'll know what JEDI is.
Right.
since They had, and we'll just have a conversation. I would think 200 or 250 as an honorarium.
Well, this is the thing. Some of these things, if you want that too, we need to make sure that's up front with the
Right.
select board. So that means but unfortunately, not much other business gets done in the whole month of
Sure.
January.
Sure.
So I could write an email to possibly Jeffrey and CC Tom. I don't know how, we hadn't done it before, so I'm not sure how to go
Right.
about it and say, this is what we're thinking of doing, and this is sort of what we're thinking. But the question may come back is, and I don't know how to compare it, is that the going rate?
I
Is
think
that what you should
I think
offer
that's
somebody?
low.
That's what
I
I'm
think
saying.
that's
I
low,
don't
and I
know.
don't know. So I would try to have that straight out with him too.
Yeah, like
Honest
he could
conversation.
help, that he might be helpful.
I mean, preachers on a Sunday morning, I can talk about.
Right, right.
Lectures at night, yeah, I don't have a clue.
And because of his past experience being with the town,
Right, he'll
he
have,
may have
yep.
he may have a good answer for us.
Totally.
So that means we'd have to work quick if you want to guarantee that before you confirm, before he confirms if that's something that needs to be done. But I know that means,
They can
Looking for
put
my phone
that
here.
on, we can ask that one small item be included.
right, but I'm
somewhere.
just saying it may not get taken care of until early February.
Well, I'm thinking it can happen before that. They just can do it on the agenda because February is the month. And for all I know, it'll be the second week that he is
Right.
able to come. And so,
I don't know. I can't, I just,
I don't know.
we haven't dealt with it, so I don't
Right.
know
Right.
what will be said if I write an email. And maybe it doesn't need to get on the agenda.
Yeah,
maybe-
right.
I don't know that either.
Right.
Maybe this is something that could be taken care of in
Right. In some kind of
a different
discretionary.
way.
Right.
I'm not sure, but
Right.
I'll try to find out
And
for
then
the
the
holiday.
The other top item is where, and I had been really wanting to have it at Old South simply because it was the old meeting house and I think churches need to be open. And Mary raised really important points about how some folks won't go through the doors of a church because of all kinds of legitimate reasons. And so then someone, I forget where that was, suggested One Heart Wellness.
Oh.
And that was an idea because they have lots, I think it was Rebecca who suggested that because they have lots of space. But in some ways, Mary's counter to that was if this is sponsored by the town.
In JEDI, so it should be in a,
Should be in a
town
public town
place.
space.
Yeah.
So
Which is
the one
Welcome
piece
Center.
I wanted to follow up on, my conversation with Rebecca was that maybe she would check with the school to see what they were doing for Black History Month and maybe would kind of co-sponsor. So as soon as I talk to Joe tomorrow, I will send an email to you all and reach back out to Rebecca. But I think I'm convinced that if it couldn't be with the school, that as much as I don't find the Welcome Center particularly a great venue for this, I think the reasons are legitimate to have it there.
because they have most of their
Yeah.
town things
Right.
there. They just had a presentation on the prison and it was there
Oh,
too,
right.
on the
I read
20th
about
of
that.
December.
Read
So,
about
Maybe
in the
that
paper.
could be part of what you ask, when you ask about the budget too, is like if it's town sponsored, does it have
well, it technically is because we're sponsoring it
right?
and it's paying for it possibly.
But
So
then does
it's,
it have, because I think the One Heart Wellness idea is a really good idea.
Do you?
I do. So I feel like it's, I don't know.
In terms of building bridges with another community kind of.
Yeah.
could possibly find out, but and I could be wrong. I'm not an
I don't
expert.
know that they.
But it
I
very
don't know.
well might just
mean,
be
either way, but-
easier to do it this way and the town knows and it's sponsored but
Yeah.
town also has sponsored the groups doing stuff at the exchange in the summer, so
Right.
I mean, the Welcome
Maybe.
Center is awesome too, but I think One Heart Wellness would be great.
It would fit certainly with their strong justice, equity, diversity, inclusion reason for being,
Yeah.
but I think churches should have that too, but
Yeah.
it's a historical problem. I totally get that. All right, let me have my
Into that, though,
conversation with
right.
Joe tomorrow,
Sure.
get back to you on the things
And
that I
then-
can, reach
yeah.
out to Rebecca about school and,
that'll
we'll
give
go
us
from
more
there.
direction, I think,
Totally,
on what questions to actually ask.
totally.
And say, we don't know the date, like if I reach out, I don't know the date,
Right,
so
right.
we
So
have
let
to
me
figure
get you
this
the
out
info.
before
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Let me get you some.
Um,
I feel like I should come away from that conversation tomorrow with a date, with a cost, with a topic. I mean,
Yeah.
all of those will be
Okay.
answered.
and you're not feeling that we need any extra meetings at this point, like in January? I mean, or you don't have to necessarily answer that,
I think it would
But-
depend on, like,
how things go.
publicity is the most important thing, I would think. And we have the places we advertise it and
Right. And we can also make up a really
flyer,
easy
easy
poster
flyer,
and throw some
totally.
stuff
Yep.
around town. Yeah, we do have kind of our. way to
because
get that
now we've
out.
worked hard at this for over a year to try
Yeah.
to have that. So And I
And
would
yeah,
love.
if we have a
this-
good month to publicize it, it would be great,
Right,
like a good solid,
right,
like not 2 weeks or something, you know?
right. We want that not to happen. And I guess I would say if by some chance the town doesn't or can't or won't or whatever, I think I would ask Old South because of their Black Lives Matter vigil and stuff, if they would have a small pot that they could contribute.
Oh,
You know, for money
Right.
wise, because I'm committed to having this happen no matter what. And so I'd pony up and help underwrite it. But yeah,
yep.
cool.
Any other questions you can think of, Britt? I can't not until we have more info, yeah, so. The way my memory's going, but our next item for discussion was collaborating with school for statement for MLK, and I'm not even like sure where that came from.
It seems like that
in my
came
memory.
from when we talked about
Yeah,
wanting
yes.
to do things around these holidays that are showing up on our calendar. And did it make sense to not do it alone?
Right,
I think it was as simple as that.
because we only have 2 weeks before
Wow,
MLK,
it's unbelievably soon.
on the 15th,
Or even
but I don't remember
just-
who was supposed to, like,
Mara sent that
oh,
mock-up. Do you want me, did you guys get that? It was like pretty
I-
soon before the meeting,
she sent a mock-up of what?
a statement.
Oh,
okay,
I didn't
okay.
get any.
It was like a half hour before, but I can read it if you want.
Oh, is it long?
Nope.
Oh, sure, give us a read. No,
This is
new to
like an
me.
idea for the newsletter and,
Oh, okay, no.
and we
maybe
could even just do what we did for the, like
the social media
and
stuff,
Semitism
Yeah.
statement, is send it to the superintendent and see if she
yeah,
would be.
maybe she said she would write it and I just have collaboration with school for some
And here it
reason.
is.
So who
Okay.
wrote it?
So,
Maura.
Mar, yep. January 15th is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a holiday that commemorates the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a prominent civil rights leader, activist, and Baptist minister who played a pivotal role in the American civil rights movement during the 1950s and 1960s. His efforts were focused on achieving racial equality, justice, and civil rights for African Americans and other marginalized communities. King emerged as a leader in the Montgomery bus boycott of 1955, co-founded the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and advocated tirelessly for landmark civil rights legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. He was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize for his commitment to nonviolent resistance and civil disobedience, inspired by the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. On this day, the JEDI Committee of Windsor encourages you to reflect on the ongoing struggle for racial justice in the United States and take time to learn more about the life, legacy, and struggle of MLK. If you're interested in learning more, you can watch the 2018 HBO documentary King in the Wilderness, The Last Years of MLK Jr.'s Life, or check out King, A Life, a new biography by Jonathan Eig at the Windsor Public Library.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah. It's a lot of Martin Luther King Jr. at the beginning.
Right, to like edit it down so it just flows a little better.
Yeah.
The other thing is he was really taken to task by white clergy toward the end because of his strong focus, which I'm surprised Moira didn't include in there, both anti-nom and economic justice. And
Yeah.
I guess I would think that's important to put in there too, but
Yeah.
We would have to have this statement, seeing we're the 28th. I'm just looking at the calendar because I'm really way off, but if we want this to go in the newsletter, I couldn't even send it to the 2nd, asking it to be in for the 5th and the 12th, which gives us 2 weeks of having this in. Because nobody's even around really until the 2nd of
Right.
January. which is the first budget meeting too. And if
Should we
we
add
want to
the
try
whole-
to, edit that just a
Yeah.
little bit or
Yeah.
add.
Yeah, no, just edit, so we're not saying Martin Luther King
Yeah,
Jr.
right.
12 times.
Do you feel comfortable doing this? You're the only
Uh-huh.
one that got the statement?
She sent it to everybody, but it was like pretty soon, right before.
The meeting
The meeting.
tonight.
Oh,
Yeah, it was in the
okay,
email.
okay,
So
no,
it's
you're right,
probably in there now.
I did. Okay,
But
okay.
yeah, I can play with it a little bit and
And if you do, then you have to resend it to us.
uh-huh.
And if you do, then I can, or anybody can, but it's Tom on
Perfect.
Tuesday.
Perfect.
I'm happy to do that if you want to send it to me after you fix it up
Okay.
and say,
Perfect.
hey, could you put it in the 5th and the 12th?
Perfect.
I'll get like his, cause he's like Dr. Martin. I don't know.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
his full title in there too.
yeah. We can have he once in a while instead of the full name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll do that and ask Tom. Gotta remember that Tuesday is actually January 2nd.
Crazy. Or we start writing that wrong year, first 5 days.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that sounds great. I'm glad you happened to be on the thing so you
Yeah.
she sent it because I didn't look at it
Yeah, that's great.
later in the day
Poor Maura probably
thinking, I
was
gotta
thinking about it, and she was falling asleep last night going, oh, should I?
get this in. And then on the look ahead calendar, we had Thursday. I don't know why Thursday there. Really should just say February was
Yeah.
Black History Month.
Yeah,
And then in March coming up is National Women's History Month. And then April is Neurodiversity Month, kind of what I stuck in there.
nice.
So,
I love that.
just as a look ahead. And I can re-put those back on for our next
Sure.
meeting in
The end of
January
June.
5th, 25th, which is our regular 4th Thursday. I think we're in good shape. I'm really interested to see the town, Windsor's Town's Handbook come out.
About reporting there, you mean?
I'm really interested to see, have something in my hand so I can look at all the town reports.
All I know is.
Ours should be there. I was told,
Submitted it, sister.
and I was told by Riley, got it, good to go. So it's good. It should be in there. And people reading that, it should be helpful because they'll get to see it. A lot of people do like pick up a booklet and actually
do.
read them.
Yeah,
So it'll be good to get into that habit, I think.
totally.
So, for the recap for the plan, we all have our questions around the presentation in February.
Yep.
Karen knows her role. I'm gonna try to reach out to Jeffrey, see how to go about something with the honorarium. And his
Joe-
name was Joe Major.
Joe
So I
Major.
know who I'm talking about. And the place that we'll have it, ask Jeffrey about that a little bit. I think hopefully we'll know, if we need another meeting, if we do,
Totally. If
then
we
we'll,
need to have a.
we'll email and figure out something.
Totally.
Just out of 4 people, this seems to be a really difficult way to get 4 schedules. Imagine if we had 7 people.
No. No.
We're doing pretty good.
So, but if we need to, we'll find a place in January and meet extra if we need to. And I think that's it, unless somebody else has something else that I've missed.
Not me.
Any JEDI comments? Seeing there's no one from the public?
Can you ask about whether the
Oh.
town might get a laptop that could be here?
How could I forget that when it's on my, been on my mind all day?
Only because,
That would be nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would have
will
liked
do
to
that.
stayed home and zoomed in on you, and I also wanted us to meet so that we would honor what we said we would do, so. Plus it
Yes,
would be
I will try to
fantastic.
put that in an email.
Just-
I don't know what'll happen to it. And, maybe we'll find there's some computer that none of us know about. But
Yeah, certainly.
it would be
possible.
great.
I mean,
Yeah.
exclusively, sitting here in the room.
So yes, I will do that for sure, Karen.
Otherwise, I don't know anything else.
Okay.
You did know the library has those COVID tests as well? I didn't know if you wanted to add that.
No, did I put it under my things
Yeah, you
here?
had it.
We utilized that resource. We all got it.
Oh, at the holiday?
Yep.
Did you again?
Yep.
Damn.
Everybody this time. But it was, we were
Pretty
okay.
mild.
We're all up to date and everything, so.
Yeah,
Michael lost taste. But
damn.
and
I'm still knocking on wood. So
I've not
I've
gotten it.
ever.
What?
You either? I don't know what is it, right?
One person in
Well, I
my
don't
family
have
and they
it.
didn't live in my house
Mhm.
Wow.
and they didn't get it till this
Lucky
past
ducks.
July.
Huh, and that's,
You guys don't
they
have
were all
kids in the school
vaccinated.
system. That's
right.
probably
I mean,
part of
that
it,
may be
too.
just like all the other things, right?
Yeah,
With kids, bringing it home.
Right.
that was the Albert Bridge strain that we all got.
Oh, was that school strain, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and I heard everybody out there got it, because my friend Maggie, who never had it, got it with that, she's called it the Cemetery Road strain, because
Oh,
she
yeah.
was up on Cemetery Road. It
Yep.
was the Albert Bridge, I think.
Oh,
It is,
God,
it is
yes.
here though. Oh, no, I don't have it. I have it only at the recent. It's not the library. The library does have some free COVID tests. You can take a mail up.
And I just emailed them and said, we have it, so they just left them out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like Michael called when he got to the library and she put them out.
Oh, nice,
Great.
nice.
Great.
Yeah, we have a great library in town. guys.
So with
Such a
that,
good
I guess
resource.
we're gonna say Happy New Year's a couple days early. Hope to see you
2024.
in January and beyond, and we're gonna adjourn the meeting so we can stop the recording.